Tier 7 is filled with vehicles that do not have a nation to their name. We've got the whole Titan universe that Wargaming has made. We've got the T6 Dracula and the Helsing, obviously. We got the Halloween tanks like the Annihilator and the Smasher, and even the Valkyria Chronicle tanks, the Predator and the Vindicator being on Warhammer. There's a lot of vehicles that have no nation to their name. However, in Tier 8, there's only one vehicle that fills this space, and that is the O-47. It's a very weird-looking tank. In fact, probably one of the weirdest looking in Tier 8. I actually really like the design on it. It's kind of grown on me over the years. I like the angling. It looks pretty nice. However, looks are one thing, performance is another. Currently, if you wanted to get your hands on this vehicle, it would cost you 4,000 gold, as you can see by the Blitz Fair auction price. Now, 4,000 gold is not a bad deal, and especially judging that the price drop will happen in 16 hours, and less than half of these have sold, it's actually going to go down to 3,500, and you can probably, at the final day of the auction, get your hands on this tank for 3,000 gold. Now, for 4,000 gold, it's not a bad deal for the O-47. 3,000 gold, that's actually really cheap. I mean, you got to realize that this is a full-fledged Tier 8 medium for 3,000 gold. I mean, definitely look at getting into that vehicle. So I was thinking, you know what, let's make a mini review on the O-47, show some gameplay, how it works, and everything else like that. But I want to start off with the armor first of all. How is the armor on this tank? Well, it's actually surprisingly pretty beefy. The upper plate's about 180 millimeters thick, and that's all round. So that means if you use the gun depression on this tank, it actually gets upwards of 230 millimeters. You can actually get some very nice bounces on the upper plate of the O-47. Now, it does have a very weak lower plate, only about 122, and as well you can see this little weak spot here. This is actually a very big weak spot. It's only about 58 millimeters thick, 59, 118 on the upper part here. So you can actually penetrate the upper part of this vehicle, which you can see hidden right here with basically any shells in the game. But thankfully, when you're using your gun depression, that's quite a hard shot to hit, so it's not too big of a weak spot, but it still does exist. Another weak spot are the turret edges. These here, they are quite thick at 190, but today I learned that these are not spaced armor and that they actually count as armor. I never knew that. But yeah, very weak on the edges of this tank. However, the mantlet, oh boy, 300 millimeters thick on the mantlet. That is one of the thickest mantlets in the game. Even premium shells from tier 10 tank destroyers will not penetrate that mantlet very easily, so that's very good. You'll also notice that it's got this bit of spaced armor on the front of the vehicle that hides its hatch. You can see that. It kind of just like hides where the weak spot is, so it's actually got some pretty solid armor. You can see side scraping capabilities are not bad either because of that weird funky armor design. So the O-47, it's a mixed bag. It's got like really good armor on certain areas. The upper plate's pretty strong, but then the turret, it's got a weak spot on the edge here and here, but then the frontal parts are really solid. I think overall the turret is basically impervious. Hitting these spots here is actually pretty hard because you just got to wiggle the turret back and forth and these things move back and forth. So the big weak spot really on this tank is this upper part right here. But yeah, apart from that, it's actually a pretty sturdy vehicle. So let's get into some replays here, see how it was able to play. You can see from my battle logs, I've played 3 battles in the vehicle today, and I'm going to be showing you 2 of them. So let's start off with the Alpenstadt game. This wasn't a bad game by any means. It wasn't anything ridiculous. But yeah, let's see how it can perform. Now, on levels of these statistics, how does this gun work? Well, it's got 2,100 DPM if you are running calibrated, and 2,300 if you're running gun rammer. Yeah, the DPM's not great. When you compare it to vehicles like a CDC, it's definitely got about 200 less. It's not bad on the DPM, but for a 225 alpha, you do kind of expect that little bit more that it kind of doesn't have. However, it's got a 2-second aiming time, which is absolutely fantastic, and as well, it's got some pretty decent dispersion. Another thing that is absolutely fantastic about this vehicle is the 300 millimeters of heat penetration. You can see he's actually showing the gun to my friend while I was playing this replay, trying to sway my gun back and forth. Yeah, the gun's actually pretty nice. It seems to hit a lot of its shells when you fully aim it in, at least from 100, 200 meters away. When you're pretty far away, like 300 meters, that's when shots start to get pretty iffy in this vehicle. But yeah, overall, I don't really mind the gun on this tank. It's pretty nice. And as I said, that heat pen at 300, that's a really nice luxury. There are mediums at tier 8 that only have like 250 millimeters of pen. Vehicles like, you know, the T-54 Mod 1. This vehicle literally just butters through armor like no problem. And you're going to see that later on. But yeah, we've already managed to dump out 750 damage in this battle. We're being kind of chill here. I'm being careful because obviously the enemy team has a bunch of heavy tanks right in the B caps. I got the Kampfpanzer, the ML2, and the Tortoise there. And yeah, that's obviously not something I really want to play with. So what I want to do is I want to clear the Centurion Mark V one off to the side. My E50 spotted him. I was a little worried about being shot in the side by that T-44, but I was like, you know what, screw it, let's get over here. Now this tank is able to go upwards of 55 kilometers per hour, which is pretty nice, and it's got a decent power to weight ratio, so that's also not bad. I actually really haven't been disliking this tank after the couple battles I played in it. You can see it just kind of does things. It doesn't do things amazingly, and there are vehicles like the Centurion RAAC that'll probably do it much better, but if you like the design of this vehicle, and you like the way it kind of seems to play, then it's definitely not a bad deal. But I'm not going to say, you know, go drop 3,000 gold if you're saving it for the next stages of the Blitz fair. I will say, standard pen, yeah, not great. I was trying to pen the side of this mill too. I was like, maybe this one will pen, and yeah, these shells just kind of get lodged in the tracks of the tank, so at this point I was just shooting AP ammunition at the lower plate of this mill too. But at this angle here I'm poking, this is a very, very hard penetration. You're going to see from the Samil 2's point of view, this is what he's looking at. So the upper plate is actually very, very sturdy, as you know, and the turret, it's basically impervious. So from this distance, the Mil 2 basically has no way of penning me. And I can't really say that's the case for any other Tier 8 mediums. Maybe the RAAC, but the RAAC doesn't have that 300 millimeters of premium penetration that this vehicle carries. Nice snap into that Tortoise's roof, and with that we're sitting at 2,300 damage. Now the enemy team still has quite a bit of hit points left. We got a full health Kampfpanzer, then Mil 2 still has 1,000 hit points left on his vehicle. Again, oof, that shell just going right up into the roof of his vehicle instead of actually hitting the hull. But we're doing okay. We're trying to get out some more damage here. Maybe I can get some shells into that Tortoise. Obviously, I don't really want to poke this because if I got shot by all three of those vehicles at once, well, the Tortoise is actually stock, but I'd still lose about 1,000 hit points. And judging that I don't have 1,000 hit points, I don't want to be shot by all of them. So I'm being a little cautious here. Now that we know the Samil 2 is not really looking at me, oh, shell just goes right into the upper part of his vehicle. But you know what? We're going to load in an HE, shoot it on the rear of his turret. Boom! 280 damage. I'll take that. Thank you very much. And now we're going to start shooting this Kampfpanzer. Hopefully he doesn't get a high roll. Ooh, only a 400 roll. That is really, really lame. I'm sorry, dude. You kind of got low rolled there big time. But yeah, we're doing good. We're at 3,254 damage. I plopped on my adrenaline, and we get one more out into the rear of the Kampfpanzer. So there you go. First game in the tank was 3,468 damage. As you can see, the tank kind of did stuff. It shot its gun, penetrated the opponents. I don't think you would have struggled to do that with any other Tier 8. I mean, obviously, vehicles that don't have a lot of armor, like the AMX CDC and other lightly armored mediums, would struggle to get out that damage. But for the most part, if you are in a Tier 8 medium that has decent gun depression, like let's say a T95E2, yeah, you're basically going to be getting out this damage pretty easily. Same for the Rampanzer. The Rampanzer, I really hope that comes out in the final stages of the auction. That is such a nice vehicle. But here we are. Enough about that. Second battle, we have found ourselves on a Ghost Factory. I really like this map. It's grown on me. I don't love heavy side on it, but I do like the medium side. If you're actually able to conquer A side of this map, you basically win, as I made in my video on it. So as you can see here, I am specifically pushing my tanks over towards the A side with the T92. What does the enemy team have? Well, they've got one medium, being the Leopard PTA. So we got a big advantage here. Me and the T92 can easily deal with the enemy mediums. By the way, wait until you see the end of this battle. I actually lost brain cells by the end of this game. This was one of the saddest battles I've ever seen in Blitz. We won. We did win. But at what cost is all I need to say. At what cost? So here we are capturing base A, something that is very important later on in the battle. Always capturing bases is something that is very important to do. But now that we've captured the base, well, what does the enemy team have that I need to worry about? Well, there's the 50 TP spotted. That is a super deadly tank. 460 damage per shot, and pretty ridiculous armor when it comes to a heavy tank. Medium-wise, the Leopard, not too much of a threat. I mean, it's a Leopard 1, or not even a Leopard 1, Leopard PTA. I don't really get scared by those things. They don't have any armor, so that's not really a tank I worry about. We know that they've got some slower vehicles like the T28 Defender, so what I'm going to purposely do here is I'm going to see if I can get some shells out behind enemy lines. So there's a T28 Defender, aiming, and boom, there you go. Nice shot once into his vehicle. We're going to plop on our adrenaline, and kabloomy, there you go. Life could be a dream, because we're farming the rear of a T28 Defender. That one, yeah, that one was kind of sad. I don't know what to say about that shot. That was just an RNG moment. But maybe we can get one more out on the rear of his vehicle. Boom! There you go. Nice tap. And with that, we're already at 700 damage. You can see that picking up damage in this vehicle is not too bad, especially when you pair it with that pretty decent mobility it has. One of my teammates is going to shoot him, and with that, we're going to load one of those beautiful heat shells right into his turret. So with that, we finished off one full health tier 8 tank destroyer by doing a bit of a flank. Now that is not what I expected to see behind me, honestly. Tortoise behind me, I was like, what? But either way, we're going to ignore the Tortoise because that tank is so slow. I can literally just drive away from him, and it's going to take him at least a minute to get over here. So in that amount of time, we're going to start shooting some standard ammunition into the rear of this E75. It just shows you how thick the rear of an E75 is. The fact that it was actually red for a moment when I was aiming at the rear of his tank. But yeah, E75, I was thinking, do I want to finish him off? Yeah, we'll clear him. Could shoot the 50 TP, but he'd probably be smart if I do. Leopard misses a shell on the turret of my vehicle. And again, here we go, dumping some shells out into the 50 TP prototype. So I was hoping that my team would finish him off, which they did. Aiming a shell in the track wheel to that Leopard. Boom, beautiful shell. 1900 damage racked out now. We're going to see if we can get another shell into the Leopard. And now you're going to notice what happens as battles. So there's an Action 10 on the enemy team and a Tortoise behind me. Now right now, I was thinking, okay, this Action 10, we're going to shoot him once. And there you go. T92 has just YOLO'd the Action 10. Now that's a T92E1. That's like we had a full health light tank, a tier 9 light tank dealing with the Action 10. But wait a sec, why am I being shot in the rear? There's one shell in the rear. What the absolute heck is going on? So I turn around and my T92 is a one shot and he's driven away. So I'm being shot in the rear by this Action 10. And this T92, well, you never guess what's going to happen. He dies! He literally dies. I am stuck in the water here and I'm like, oh no. I'm over here trying to shoot this, and yeah, this is just the end of my take. You can see, I was so mad. I was like, there's no way that this T92 actually threw this, right? So now it's a 3 versus 2, and I will say that we do manage to win the game. This guy here is not AFK. He is, no joke, sitting here. Yep, there you go. This was one of the saddest battles I've ever seen. We won on Supremacy Capture. I don't know what to say, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to World of Tanks Blitz. But here you go. We did 3,155 damage, pulled out a mastery, and it was a pretty nice game. As you can see, as long as your teammates are not morons, you can do decently well in the O-47. I like this vehicle. It's not anything special, and if you already have a vehicle like the Rampanzer, there's no real reason why to get your hands on this tank. But it's nice, and I do think for 3,000 gold that it's a pretty decent deal. Hopefully, you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye!